middle ground. The intention was to uncover humanity and empathy shared among strangers with opposing beliefs. Whether your political beliefs are on the left or the right, we all exist within our own echo chambers. So for this episode, we partnered with Ground News and created a test that can analyze your news sources and show you their biases. The participants of this episode agreed to take the quiz and share their results. We encourage you to do the same.
Step forward if you agree with the prompt. Cancel culture is a good thing.
What?
We have the freedom to say what you want, but everyone else has the freedom to respond and cancel you if you say something that is racist, homophobic.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, youngins. I thought the youngins, no, that surprised me, man. That they all jumped out there like that and they're going to say that, like he started off with, they have the freedom to say what they want. Okay, let them finish. Sorry, I'm going to talk later.
We have the freedom to say what you want, but everyone else has the freedom to respond and cancel you if you say something that is racist, homophobic, transphobic, etc. Cancel culture is definitely good in the means of like deplatforming people who are spreading very hateful messages.
What is your opinion on Trump being cancelled on Twitter?
When you go onto Twitter, whatever, you check I accept the, guidelines, the community guidelines, I agree to follow them, and he didn't follow them, so Twitter has the right to take him off the app.
And for people that might make the counter-argument that Twitter is biased and will only cancel right-wing politicians, that's not true at all. Twitter and other forms of social media have canceled left-wing activists. There is an equal balance on both sides.
Now, I just want to say that I think these youngins, I think whoever raised them did a great job at protecting their innocence and giving them the comfort and brave enough to just be who they are and have their own independent thoughts about what's going on in this world. So I definitely want to give them props for that. I do want to take away the fact that they seemingly don't know what the hell they're talking about. Someone says something that you don't agree with, then you have the right to cancel them. I don't know where in the hell that's from. That's ridiculous. But hey, now the older conservatives, conservative parents are about to light their tails up. Hopefully they don't say anything that don't make any damn sense.
You brought up canceling him off Twitter. I'm sorry, I disagree. When the Taliban can use our social media, but an ex-president can't, there is something wrong with that.
Did the Taliban violate community guidelines?
It doesn't matter.
I think it matters to Twitter what their community guidelines are. That's why they banned Trump, because Trump violated community guidelines. That's what every platform has, whether it be TikTok, YouTube, Instagram.
The Taliban stones people because they're gay.
If they've done that and they've posted videos of stoning gay people, I agree, they should be removed, and that 100%. Is fundamentally wrong.
Except the problem is they're smart enough to not do that.
Well, then why wasn't Trump
smart
enough to
the president
not do
wasn't
that?
smart enough to not do that, I guess.
If I'm an American and I have to vote between this person, I need equal access to both of them to decide what's right. Bro, you could be a Klansman, you could say you hate black people. That's not my job to police your language. I can't expect everybody to love me and think the way I think. All y'all think differently. I mean, that's totally dope. But the fact that you want somebody removed because they think differently, that could be you one day.
Hold on, but you walked up there when they said, do you oh no, that's one of the parents. That is one of the parents. Oh yeah, my matter of fact, my bad, brother.
Do you think freedom of speech is something that still exists in America?
We do have aspects of freedom of speech. Like you can't go into a movie theater and yell fire. So obviously there are limits of freedom of speech.
But they're picking and choosing who they're silencing and who they're letting talk.
That is true.
If people react negatively to what you say, it goes both ways. You can't just say that, oh, they
100%.
can't. Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
America.
I wonder how these youngins feel about Elon Musk now owning Twitter. I would love to hear their take on that.
Both ways. You can't just say that, oh, they
100%.
can't. Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
America is becoming less and less safe.
I'll leave this to you guys.
So I have a lot of friends that have been in the military for the last 20 years because they refused to get vaccinated. They told me that they would be dishonorably discharged or kicked out of the military. I just believe we're losing a lot of good servicemen with the current situation that we're in right now.
A lot of police officers are down. Crime is up all over. When police aren't there, we're murdering each other at a really high rate. Police are in those neighborhoods because the homicide rate is high. Y'all can run around talking about police all you want, but I challenge any of these liberal kids to spend 2 weeks in the environment I grew up in, and I promise your perspective will change.
Yeah, so with all that going on, we still running around yelling, defund the police. What is that about? Defund the police and not pay them now, and they're not working. Who's going to police these neighborhoods and these communities now? The parents are already afraid. I mean, everybody's afraid of what's going on nowadays. I mean, especially in certain areas.
Any of these liberal kids to spend 2 weeks in the environment I grew up in, and I promise your perspective will change.
The one advantage we have about being older, we've been through a threat or two. And our enemies, you know, like China, the Communist Party in China, they're laughing at us. You know, Russia's like, we don't need to do much. They're gonna screw it up on their own. We need to get the help of our younger people that haven't been through a threat before to realize a lot of what's going on is not good.
Honestly, they just need a little bit of common sense. They just need to open their eyes a little bit and just see just look at the history of the country, look at the history of the world. They don't have to go through anything themselves in order for them to understand. That makes absolutely, honestly, I don't agree with that part right there. My kids understand a great deal of things simply because their mom and I are from a different world than they are from. And so we had to make sure that when we talk to them, we let them know a lot of what we understand from our vantage point and our walk so that they not have to walk it themselves. And because of that, our kids got a bit of common sense. Like they know what to do, know what to say, they know how to read a room, all that other stuff, but they also have a basic understanding on life and how to treat people and what to do if you need something or want something, you go get it and all these other things. So I don't know.
My name is Mike, I'm 59 years old, and I'm a conservative parent. You know, growing up during the 1980s, you know, that was a huge influence on me, and it formed my views, and the people that I was around is the reason why I'm a conservative parent. I think America should be more middle of the road and not be necessarily more liberal. And if anything, it should be a hint more on the conservative side, because we're going to watch our freedoms get extinguished or encroached if we don't guard those freedoms and make sure that all of our children have a chance to succeed.
Can the disagreeer step forward?
I actually wished I came up here for the agreeing section because I think I interpreted the definition of safety the same way that you guys did, but after hearing your guys' conversation, I started thinking about how our American people aren't safe in the face of like imminent like climate disasters that are coming our way, and how we don't have the infrastructure to deal with that.
I actually very much agree with that, because I think we need to define like kind of like what we mean by like we're less safe now. Do we mean like there's more homicides after COVID, or like what do we mean?
I would say before we got rid of half our military, half our police force, you know, slavery was legal, the Holocaust was legal, so we can look at all of these mass atrocities and say we're doing what's right. Everybody who was a part of the Holocaust government, they were doing what Hitler said, they were doing what was right. So everybody losing their job for not getting vaxxed, and all the vax people, you got who can we control? Everybody who get the shot, that's who's gonna do what we say. The enemies are coming, and we don't care about that because we wanna care about what color we should wear and pride and critical race theory. It's like no one else cares about that but us in America. That's our problem.
So you think that talking about sexual orientation and all that kind of stuff takes away from the safety of our country?
Who you sleep with has no merit in the real world. What does it matter?
Okay, let's just broaden the scope. With the coronavirus pandemic,
I would love to hear that young lady answer that. I would have loved for her to hear her retort, because when they're asking these questions that they know many people are concerned about. Oh, what are you concerned about? Oh, that's something to be concerned about. Yeah. What are you concerned about? Oh, that's another thing to be concerned about. What about you? You're concerned? What are you concerned about? Not really understanding that, dude, how is this going to make things move forward and better and stronger? Talking about our feelings all damn day. That's what we got psychiatrists for. Now we got people who help with those things, right? So now, because there's a whole bunch of people that know how to move forward and whatnot and handle the real issues, but they also seek mental help. So at the end of the day, man, come on, we can deal with our emotions later. How y'all feeling? We can talk about that. Give me a hug. It's over. Now let's discuss something that's real, something that's going to move this entire country forward.
In the real world. What does it matter?
Okay, let's just broaden the scope. With the coronavirus pandemic, why did it take weeks for us as a country to mobilize together to fight the public health crisis that was already affecting the nation?
It was a scam to get Donald Trump out of office. It's all fake. It's my opinion.
I agree with you.
I don't think that we could create, or the Democrats could create some international plan, getting all of these scientific communities outside of just the US and even international governments on their side for something that they're just trying to get Trump out of office. I feel like that's heavily ridiculous.
Trump was the thorn that nobody saw coming, and they had to find a way to get him out of there. If there's no mail-in voting, 100% Trump is the president right now, 100%.
Yeah, because overwhelmingly mail-in ballots were to Biden, and that's obvious.
Exactly.
It's not because mail-in ballots are fraudulent, because mail-in ballots are actually not fraudulent at all. That this election was the safest election in recorded history.
There's a lot of videos, so you see people with fake ballots, so that's here and there. I'm not.
That's just hearsay from random people on TikTok. Are we really gonna take that as empirical evidence?
Well, Dr. D'Souza just now did a documentary about just this thing. Dr. D'Souza just now did a documentary about this, and went extremely into great detail about this. And I don't know if it's empirical evidence, but Ben Shapiro watched it and reacted to it, and he said, according to Dr. D'Souza's findings and all of those things, that is far more information now that says that there should be an investigation on that right there. So, you know what I mean?
It's personal opinion.
My name is Parker, I'm 19, and I'm a liberal. My sisters and I have become a lot more liberal, a lot more left-leaning over time, while my parents have stayed a bit conservative. Before, when I was a conservative, I kind of just went off a lot of the indoctrination and propaganda that was spread to me when I was a kid. I grew up on the fact that, we shouldn't have increased taxes because taxes are just negatively affecting us. Personal responsibility isn't what a lot of the decisions people make in society is based on. It's mainly based upon their environments, how they're socialized by their parents, people around them, things like that.
My news source is more reliable than the other side's.
News source.
When I look at conservative news, I see a lot of conspiracies that I don't necessarily agree with. And so if everything comes from opinion and just people developing their own ideas, it just doesn't seem reliable to me.
No, that's like me too. I didn't like to look at a lot of news because I thought that what they were saying was BS. So I just stopped looking at it. But I never looked into it. So, come to find out that some of the stuff they were saying was actually the facts, but
Comes from opinion and just people developing their own ideas, it just doesn't seem reliable to me.
I feel like the only way we can get unbiased news is in order for news media organizations to stop prioritizing having really vivid headlines that might not necessarily be 100% accurate.
I think that starts with putting people over profit. They want the biggest story or whatever, and they don't want to actually give the news that would be beneficial to our everyday average Americans. And I think that if we put a lot more focus on putting people first instead of the big news or the big story, we can change that aspect of society.
I agree with you 100%. I say the civil rights movement is the civil rights entertainment industry because it's so profitable. Put a police shooting on TV, it's breaking news, every headline, it's on every social media, you're selling shirts, you're selling signs. That's so much more profitable than showing me and you shaking hands. The news media is literally capitalizing off the emotions of society. No matter how you feel about it, handle it in your privacy of your house. Why? Because if you can do it on camera, somebody's gonna make $1 off of it, and that's not fair to you.
Young people today are too sensitive.
I think it's a good thing that young people are sensitive. I think today they can be more sensitive than what they probably could have been 30 or 40 years ago. The growing up was the Berlin crisis, the Cuban Missile Crisis. I mean, we had the threat of annihilation, staring at us several times. And a lot of times I go, thank God John Kennedy handled it.
The country has been spoiled for so long. They're trying to make it so a man can't be a man. And if you don't let men be men, then things start crumbling. Society crumbles, families crumble, and broken homes start happening.
And kids need their fathers. So 36% of kids don't have a father. So every boy is, well, my mom is mad at me, my dad don't love me, my dad don't care about me. Maybe I should be gay, maybe I should be trans, I don't know who I am. And your father puts confidence in you. No disrespect to anybody, but the younger generation of men are soft. And if we had to go to war, they're not protecting America. There's no better place to be as a black individual or whatever you are in America. Go to the Middle East right now and say you gay or you trans and see how they treat you.
Wow. Man, he about to start some stuff up in there, bro. Man, not playing with y'all.
Johnny, I'm 32 years old, and I am a conservative parent. My grandfather was a no-excuse individual. He grew up in the Jim Crow South, but he worked hard. The house that he bought is still in our family today. He had a garden in his backyard. If you step past a certain line, he got on you. So to watch the men before me who really could have been lynched for stepping out of line, who really could have went through a hardship for not doing what society said, the worst thing that can happen to me is I get a mean tweet or a dislike. So I gotta fully embrace who I am, and I know I can create anything with my 2 hands and feet.
I'm Hannah, I'm 17, and I'm a liberal.
Anything
I really want equality for all, and the liberal policies that have been passed side more with my values of equality for those who are on the LGBTQ, those who are on the gender spectrum. Something about conservative parents that I don't like is whenever I come across them, they seem to be very rooted in their ways and not willing to listen to someone who's a teenager like me. They think more like, oh, because I'm older, I have more knowledge, which is not necessarily always the case.
Can we have the disagreeer step forward?
That is true. These young people, they are smart as a whip, man. They are different. They got the internet. They are the time of the internet.
This idea that because men are being raised by women that they're weaker is, in my opinion, completely false. Our generation, it's not more sensitive, we're more aware of all these things. Being transgender and gay is not something that should be ashamed of or make you feel less. In today's society, that is why women are fighting for equality, because this idea that because they only have a mom, they're weaker, or because, they're more sensitive, that's, in my opinion, completely false.
And I would say in the environment that I grew up in, the teen pregnancies come from girls without fathers. The homicides come from people without fathers. Every girl that I know, if they grow up with a daddy, they get married before they have a kid.
Why do they not have fathers?
If you want me to be real, because a lot of women make bad choices on the men they procreate with. If you make a bad choice, that's your responsibility. Every bad thing that I did in my life, it was when my daddy was in jail.
Young man wasn't ready for that answer. Young man was not ready for that answer.
When my dad was out and I had my dad's reassurance, I was a better person.
I had one daughter that had to move across the country to get rid of a toxic relationship with somebody that was harming them.
Why does the woman have to move across the country because the man is being toxic? Why can't the man be taught, don't be toxic?
Oh, I agree.
Women nowadays have to deal with those kinds of relationships. The mother knows better, I would say, than the father about that.
We're not more sensitive, there's just more opportunities for us to be sensitive. You can say like 15, 20 years ago, there weren't videos of black men being shot by police all over the internet. Now that that's there, people are more inclined to feel a certain way or take a stance on that topic.
Do you think it would be more beneficial to show police also interacting with white guys? Because more white guys get killed than black guys by cops.
If you look at the amount of white people and the amount of black people, there are going to be more white people killed because there are more white people in America. The percentage of black people that are being killed is higher than the percentage of white people.
Okay, what y'all think about that? Please let me know what y'all think about that, because the math that she just now was speaking on actually makes a lot of sense to me anyway. I would like to hear what y'all got to say about that.
Because you're pulled over doesn't mean you have to resist. I mean, they don't just kill you when they pull you over. It's all about based on how you perform as an individual. I've been pulled over and never had a bad interaction in my life. When I was rude, I got snatched out the car. Everything is a personal choice. If you can't take accountability for your life, then you will forever be a slave.
That's not true. There are definitely issues on the side of policing. Black communities, majority POC communities are over-policed. There's larger patrols in black communities. There are police work longer hours in majority black communities. So there's an issue from the policing side as well.
There's more crime. There's more Like there's a lot more homicides, black on black crime happening in those communities. So if there's more crime, then come on, guys, somebody do it with me. We're doing math together. If there's more crime, then you might need more. You might need more police.
Politics has damaged my relationship with a loved one.
Politics has damaged a relationship.
I'm sure you could relate to this as well, but in the Asian community, there's a lot of anti-blackness. So with the advent of the Black Lives Matter movement this past year, having conversations with my parents was really difficult, especially around the nuances of racial justice and sort of like what the movement was fighting for and how to articulate that.
Whoa, he went over that real smooth. I did not know that the Asian community were racist against blacks. I did not know that. I did not. I mean, I never heard that from actual Asian people say that. That's news to me. That's definitely news to me.
And like the very closed mindset that my parents had.
A lot of my family voted for Trump in the past election, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't like to say this, but it made me view their morals a little bit differently, and they're willing to adapt and change was so different, and I was just like shocked because I wanted to understand their side and really talk about it, and I was met with, you're wrong, and we don't want to talk about it, and that kind of really damaged just kind of the way I looked at them.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I also think that it just made me less willing to expend the energy to have political or like just like any like hard conversations with my parents or anyone else in my family.
Yeah, their parents messed up. They should have had conversations.
My name is Rithwick. I'm 18 years old and I'm a liberal. I grew up in a low-income immigrant household, and I think the systems that are in place right now aren't sufficient enough to support people, Americans like myself or my family. Because my parents were immigrants, I think they were liberal on issues like immigration and things that directly affected them. I'd like to ask to the conservative parents why they don't necessarily listen or adopt their own beliefs, whether political or social, based on the conversations they have with their children and why they're so set in their ways.
You know, I read a lot of the tragic stories where family members don't talk to each other anymore. Personally, I think that's sad. Do all my family members vote the same? No. Do we have a pretty good idea of how family members may have voted? Yeah. But we went more of agree to disagree. I'm not going to not buy you a present for Christmas because, you know, you decided to vote for somebody that I don't like. Give me a break. Families are special. And we've got too many people, as you've talked about, that don't have them.
When I took this prompt, I kind of took it more of like my view of the person changed differently because, not because of the way they voted, but because some of their values to me were, like he said, moral values, and that shows kind of part of their characters.
Would you say that morality is subjective to each individual person though? Or would you say morals are the same across the board?
The basic is human equality for all. And so if you don't believe that somebody should have an equality based on their gender, their sexual orientation, or their race, or anything like that, that's a moral problem in my eyes.
That's a huge thing with the trans and the gay and the LGBTQ and all that whole thing. So I grew up LDS, being Utah County, it's like 95% Mormon. At 8 years old is when you get baptized. And so if you're raised around where 95% of people think the exact same way, I feel like that's too young of an age where you're a child and you don't really know what you're doing. And so where I have a problem with the trans or these different things is they're getting kids at like 10, 12 years old and they're pushing them down that path.
Who's they?
Who's they?
Mm-hmm. Who's indoctrinating these kids into becoming LGBTQ and et cetera?
There's a lot of groups out there.
Like?
I've just heard that there's groups out there. I don't know. You don't think there's groups out there that do that?
No.
I'm assuming you're a straight man, so I think it's weird for you to comment on the queer experience and what that's like for someone growing up who's struggling with those experiences. The way you're describing it as indoctrination, people who are figuring out their sexualities and their queer identities aren't necessarily going to ascribe to the first labels that are put before them.
If I'm not mistaken, the brain isn't fully developed until you're 25 years
Hold on. What those young guys are saying, we gotta listen to them. I know we already got our ways of thinking, but we have to listen to them and we have to let them talk. We have to hear their sides. We have to meet them where they are and then offer them what we know. That's the only way to do any of this, bro. Like if once you hear that, and if your response is conversational and not more of of a debate, you'll get a lot further, in my opinion. We'll get a lot further, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
To the first labels that are put before them.
If I'm not mistaken, the brain isn't fully developed until you're 25 years old, correct?
Yeah, correct.
So I know how I used to think at 16, man. I know how I used to think at 21, man. I'm not against kids doing whatever they want. It's just the older you get, you change. I got my first tattoo at 15. I'm covered now. If I was a little older, I probably would have waited. When you're young, you're not thinking. And everybody has made a bad choice. And because you stressed out, you go change your gender. Because you want to try something new, once you do it, you can't go back. The more you throw stuff at kids before they developed, that's indoctrination because you're trying to get them while they're not fully cognizant to know what's going on.
Now, you can only know that and you can only feel that if you got some age on you. If you don't have any age on you, then as someone who's much younger, you're gonna say, I know who I am. How you gonna say I don't know who I am? And he was like, yeah, I also knew who I was when I was 18. And then I knew who I was when I was 21. Yeah. And then I knew who I was when I was 25. Then I knew who I was when I was 30. Like, it goes on and on and on and on and on. Do you really know who you are? Probably not. Do you think you know who you are? That's probably more the case.
The older you get, the more conservative you become.
When I got older and I had kids and I had a family, I actually started reading policies. Everything about me changed when I became a father because I had a reason to. And I'm sure you would agree with that.
Wow.
As I've gotten older and the environment we're in right now, I feel like they're trying to cancel the Constitution. They're trying to cancel Christianity.
I mean, most teenagers are liberal. I was liberal when I was teen. It's fun. Culture is liberal. So when you're younger, you're going to be a part of culture.
Right.
When you're older, you're trying to raise your family. You don't have a time to care about what LeBron James said or who did that. Just when you mature, you value what's around you.
My name's Sean. I'm 36 years old, and I'm a conservative parent. My dad's kind of my idol. I've seen him basically build a very successful life and seen how simple he's lived his life through prayer and through just basic conservative principles. Being raised up LDS or Mormon, I saw a lot of just judgment, and so I don't necessarily believe that you have to be in a religion, but I do believe in prayer. I've been all across the board as far as the way my life has gone, and at my happiest times, I've lived by conservative values.
Building off of what you're saying about like teenagers, we're a different generation, and so we view the world differently, and I think that's probably why you've seen more teenagers be liberal, because we just view the world that way, but I don't think it has anything to do with
No, my generation, I was liberal too when I was a teenager, and all my friends were too. And when you're a teenager, life is fun. It's just totally, you kick it, you party. So that's what I'm saying. I get the teenage. As you grow, you either can run away from responsibility or embrace responsibility.
And you also empathize with everything because you're starting to feel and you're starting to rationalize and you're starting to think like an adult. So of course you're starting to believe that you can make adult decisions, but not quite yet. Like the training isn't over yet. That's what it is. The training is not over yet. It's not. Once you get your own family and you get out there in the workforce and you start paying taxes and you start seeing how certain laws affect your money, then you'll start to be like, okay, all right, okay, whoa. I need to find out what's going on. Then you start to be more conservative. That's how that goes. Until you get to that point, get you some experience. You're always going to have that same mindset. That's a young mindset, and it's a beautiful mindset. But you think you know everything. No, you're extremely intelligent as to what social media teaches and what the schools are teaching as far as how much technology has improved over the years. So in that, extremely intelligent. But life is life, and you don't learn that until you live it. Period.
When there's real things going on, you start looking at life a little different. Versus when I was young, I didn't know about that. I didn't know about corporate gains tax, and I didn't know about my stock account, and I didn't know that I can, all these things that I didn't know when I was a kid.
So when people are generally talking about taxing the rich more, they're talking about the top 400 billionaires that are literally paying a lower effective tax rate in taxes than the middle class. The top 400 billionaires paying an effective tax rate of 8%, that's obviously not a fair share. And I think obviously everyone can agree here that they should be paying at least a fair share, right?
How do you increase taxes on someone's assets, though? Most of those billionaires aren't.
Unrealized capital gains is how they're specifically trying to do it now, but it would be through long-term capital gains, because a lot of the people who are paying those taxes, they're paying capital gains tax rate. There's also tax loopholes that have been lobbied into Congress by big corporations and big businesses lobbying politicians to get whatever they want.
So if you get older.
Now look. I'm smart. I can do the math on how to get y'all money. Huh? It's my right to get y'all money. Where was all that? See, when it comes to you being who you want to be, or you want to be gay or transvestite, or I'm trans, or you know, you want to be super liberal and lead with your emotions and whatnot. How come that changes when it comes to taxes? Like you get super astute and super dialed into the law so that you can dig into somebody else's pockets. You can't have it both ways. You cannot have it both ways. Huh? Right now, what you're doing is going into somebody else's pocket simply because they're successful. That's ridiculous.
Congress by big corporations and
they
big
already
businesses
pay most of the
lobbying
taxes
politicians
already
to get whatever they want.
So if you get older and you work yourself off and you become a multimillionaire, you deserve to pay more because other people didn't work as hard as you?
But it's not because other people didn't work as hard as me. It's because we, as a society, want to give everyone access to things like basic necessities like healthcare, education, have everyone have an equal opportunity. We don't have that right now.
It is because other people didn't work as hard as you. It is. And I love how fast you talk, but it is. Because when you're super wealthy, you worked your tail off for it. The other things you said are also true, but it doesn't give them the right to go into your pockets after you did the work in order to have the lifestyle that you have. It sounds cute to be in a debate and volley back and forth intellectually with somebody simply because you have the wherewithal to do so. But at the end of the day, consider that maybe you should learn how to have a conversation and hear before you talk, because what you heard was half of what he was saying, and you decide to deny it and lie to yourself. You're lying to yourself, literally lying to yourself. Because guess what? As soon as you get to a point where you're successful, you're going to be trying to find every loophole in the book to not pay your taxes. And guess what? While doing so, the people that could be receiving that money that you're trying to avoid paying to Uncle Sam are the people that you claim to be taking up for right now. So miss me with the BS, man. That's BS. You got to be, people aren't genuine when it comes to these conversations, man.
You can have equal opportunity of a baseline, but the outcome would still be different because every individual is going to work different levels,
well,
correct?
Obviously, yeah.
Right, so I think that's where we are as a society. I was able to pull it off. I graduated high school with a 1.9 GPA. I don't have a college degree. So the only limits are the limits you place on yourself. That's just
right.
my perspective.
That's
America
right.
is the best country in the world.
I think despite all of our challenges and problems, when you look at all the other countries of the world, everybody is still trying to come here.
The way I can talk out loud, the way I can feel myself, the way I can express myself fully as an individual, it ain't many places black men can go do that outside of America.
3 years ago, when I got into the court systems and the different rights taken away from me and government control and government power. And so when you have that stuff stripped away from you and you realize most other countries don't have the freedom that America has. America has been the greatest country ever, and I think it will continue because of a lot of good people that stand up for the right things.
I think I would like to ask the question, what is America the best at?
I think we just was talking about the freedoms that we have here versus what they don't have in other countries.
So what about
Here we
places
go.
in Scandinavia that actually
Statistics.
have higher amounts of freedom? They have better democracies than we do here, higher quality of life, higher median income. They have healthcare systems that are more efficient, that take care of everyone in their population, more access to education.
But when
Is that why everybody are going to Scandinavia? Is that why Scandinavia has to close their borders because it's so many people coming to Scandinavia? No, that's happening here, bro.
Systems that are more efficient, that take care of everyone in their
These
population,
daggone-
more access to education.
But when you look at the big picture, everybody wants to come here. Millions of people are not trying to get into Scandinavia
Why?
because we have more opportunity than any other place in the world.
We don't even make the top 25 in women equality.
But we have a better
Oh
opportunity
my
to do something about it
gosh.
compared to other countries. And I would love it for Europe to open their borders the way we have and see if you can get people from other parts of the world to do mass migration to Europe.
I was going to mention Scandinavian countries as well, but I think it's also important to address that Scandinavian countries are very homogenous, racially, socioeconomically. They don't face the same geographic diversity that we have. What you were mentioning with the fact that we have the opportunity to write with women inequality, why is that not happening? It's because the way our democracy is set up, our Congress is literally in a gridlock right now, as it has been for so many past sessions of Congress. We aren't getting anything productive done.
The opportunity we have here is incredible, and I'm very happy that I live here and not somewhere else, but we are so focused on, oh, America is the best, that we don't look at these other countries and say, why are all those people so happy, and what is that, and how can we incorporate that into our society?
I mean, I would say
Americans are too damn entitled. We're too spoiled and too sensitive. That's why everybody's so daggone happy in them other countries. But ain't nobody name one American that wants to move there. Go ahead. I'll wait. I bet there's nobody in that panel right there that wants to move to one of the countries you're talking about. Women got far more equality in that country. So when do you want to move there? I don't. I just want the country that I'm from, that I love, to have the same. No. And they probably got the same equality, but you're looking at it from a skewed frame, not really seeing that it's a quality of opportunity and not a quality of outcome. That's it.
I think diversity is good. I think diversity of thought and diversity of opinion is super helpful. It's really easy to get clogged up into this groupthink. So I don't expect anyone else to agree with me or feel the way I feel. I just expect you to respect my right to feel this way. I respect your right to feel this way, and we keep it moving.
100% agree. I couldn't agree more, actually.
Awesome, that's a wrap.
That was a good conversation. Please let me know what y'all thought about this in the comments below. And if you have yet to hit that subscribe button or the super thanks button, thank you so much to everyone who has. Please make sure you do so on your way out the door. Once again, guys, I'm Van, and now we are all the LFR family. I look forward to seeing you on the next video and hopefully inside of the Patreon as well. Y'all have been amazing. Love you. Bye.